I've just had a couple of hours with the health practitioners who are on my continuing professional development course. This is a 12-week course for health practitioners to be understanding some of the background, the deeper dive into the physiology around lifestyle solutions for menopause. And in today's course, the live Zoom call, we were talking about hot flushes or hot flashes, which is what they're called in America and Canada. And I was reminding the health practitioners that these are, such a frustration for so many women. And if we can have some understanding of what they are and why they occur, then it really helps us to think about some of the lifestyle solutions that we can put in place to actually, help to reduce these. And it doesn't matter if women are on hormone replacement therapy or if they're taking various supplements that have phytoestrogens, plant-based estrogens in them. There are so many other things that we can be doing. Now, a hot flush, which is what we call it here in New Zealand, it actually starts in the hypothalamus region of the brain. The medical term for a hot flush is vasomotor symptom. So vaso relates to the blood vessel, motor relates to the nervous system. So there's this very close connection between the changing nervous system as we come through menopause, our changing blood vessels, and then the subsequent imbalance that this occurs through our hormones and some of the chemical messengers that pass between the brain, the thyroid, the adrenals, and the ovaries. And that's called the HPA thyroid axis. So as we come into menopause, what I was explaining to the practitioners is that there are changes occurring around the body. And it's not just because of declining estrogen or progesterone or our master hormones in our brain, master reproductive hormones, follicle stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormone. As we come through our 50s and into our 60s, then the body is aging. So there are other changes going on around the body in response to the declining levels of our reproductive hormones. The body is trying to adapt and adjust to a new hormonal environment, and this is really important because if we can change some of our lifestyle, then, and by that I mean our nutrition, our exercise, if we can get back sleeping, and if we can do things that reduce our hot flushes, then that all helps our body to adapt and to rebalance the temperature regulation. Now, one of the main things that I find that women don't fully understand is that a hot flush or a hot flash is very closely related to our changing blood pressure. And blood pressure is changes because there are changes to the inside of the blood vessels. This is known as vascular stiffness. I'm often writing about this in my blogs. And of course, the actual heat that we're feeling, or, if we're sweating or if we're experiencing a hot flush, that is actually part of our survival mechanism. The body is trying to cool down. If you think about heat in the body only has a very narrow range of heat that it can tolerate. We know this from when we have a fever, or if our children have been sick and have a fever, it can be quite dangerous for the body to overheat. So what we want to do in terms of understanding hot flushes is we want to control inflammation. And one of the changes that occur as we come through perimenopause, menopause, and into postmenopause is that the body is accumulating inflammation in different areas. And this is due to just our natural biological aging. It's a term called inflammaging. And so this is one aspect of the heat that we feel during our menopause transition. So it's very important to manage inflammation. The other thing that's important to do is to manage blood pressure. And I can't reiterate this enough. Because of the vascular stiffness, then blood pressure is implicated in hot flashes, particularly if women have more than 5 an hour. And there's so much research. You can see one of these papers here. It says hot flashes and blood pressure in midlife women. And there's hundreds and hundreds of research studies that have implicated blood pressure or high blood pressure with the frequency and severity of hot flushes. And one of the reasons for this is because the body is overheating. It's trying to get blood out onto the skin to dissipate the heat, to remove the heat from the body. And one of the reasons that this occurs is because these blood vessels are aging and changing. So we need to be working on our blood pressure, and we need to be having foods that help us reduce our blood pressure. And one of these foods is beautiful berries. I've got blueberries and boysenberries in here, but blackberries are also are really important, as are black currants. And these are known to help to dilate the blood vessels as we come through menopause and to reduce the high blood pressure that occurs. So if you can add some purple berries to your diet, and in the Northern Hemisphere at the moment, berries are in season, but here in the Southern Hemisphere, you might have to have frozen berries, as I've got here. And if you can add those to your diet, then these have anthocyanins that help to reduce your blood pressure. So I call these a wonderful hot flush reducing food that is a very important part to add to our diet as we come through this stage of life that is can be really challenging. I'm Dr. Wendy Sweet from Menopause Transformation. My PhD was in women's health and aging. I've positioned the menopause transition in the aging research, and when it comes to women's healthy aging, then we must focus on blood pressure. We must understand what our blood pressure is doing, and we must have foods that really help us to age well.